Chapter 39th, Boarding School. At 14, I left for a Lyceum Internet. Boarding school, state-run, often associated with neglect, though in this case it was a competitive academic institution. Passed the entrance exam. 6 applicants per spot. On the outside, a smart girl who got out thanks to her brains. On the inside, simpler. Staying home was impossible. The boarding school was a tough place. 12 girls in a room, 3 rooms per floor, 36 girls for 1 toilet, 5 sinks, 1 shower, once a week. If you wanted to wash more often, wash in the nogamoshka, a foot washing station, a pipe with holes that sprays water, used as a makeshift shower. No curtains. You stand naked washing, and across the way someone has after-school study hall, and they can see you through the window. Shame had long burned out. All that was left was indifference toward your own body, and you don't care because there's no alternative, and you want to be clean. In the morning you brush your teeth there too, at the nogamojka, because there's a line for the sinks. 7 a.m. Wake up and mandatory exercise. If you didn't get up, they pulled you off the bed by your foot and you fell on the floor. The boys especially had it bad. The food was terrible. We stole bread and butter from the cafeteria. That was our real food, bread and butter. In the evening, after lights out, when everyone was in bed and the lights were off, we ate dry Chinese instant noodles, straight from the package, uncooked, crunching under the blanket. Those who stayed for the summer and didn't go home ate bread with vegetable oil and salt. A cake was bread with sour cream, which my grandmother sometimes sent, sprinkled with crushed diabetic tablets instead of sugar. This was considered a celebration. In fact, of course, it was not a cake. But when the alternative is bread without sour cream, it's a cake. And here's what's strange. I remember this with delight, with rapture. These were the happiest times of my childhood, because for the first time in my life I was not alone. For the first time there were people my age around me who lived next to me, ate next to me, slept next to me. No one cursed me. The rules were harsh. The food was horrible. The conditions were barracks-like. But it was better than home. Much better. And in this lies the whole truth about my childhood. A barracks with a nogamoika felt like freedom, because I had nothing to compare it to. At the boarding school, one of my first real insights happened. Not a beautiful one, not a therapeutic one, not one dressed up in words. I simply suddenly saw that other people have mothers. Real ones. Who call, who visit, who bring homemade food, who remember holidays. On International Women's Day, the girls made cards and gifts for their mothers, easily, joyfully, as if this were the most natural thing in the world. And I watched them and for a long time couldn't understand what exactly I was feeling. Not anger, not resentment, grief, and envy. But life at the boarding school was not only about grief and envy. Life at the boarding school was also about survival, and surviving was what I did better than anyone. In 10th grade, I needed to call my grandmother. They never sent me money, never. A long-distance call cost a token cost money, and there was no money, so I came up with something. I took 10 kopeck coins about the size of a dime, and placed them on the tram tracks. The tram drove over them. The coin flattened, increased in diameter, and sometimes came out exactly the size of the token for long-distance payphones. Not everyone, about every third. The rest flattened, crooked, or cracked, but 1 out of 3 worked. Then I improved the method, found a spot on a tram curve where there were few people and the rails bent. There the tram went slower and pressed more evenly. I taped coins to the rail with Scotch tape in an inconspicuous spot 10 at a time, waited for the tram, collected the results. Out of 10 coins, 6 or 7 working tokens came out. That was enough for several calls. Once, before International Women's Day, my friend Masha wanted to call her mother. She had no money either. She asked me. I gave her my coins and explained how to call. Warned her, "This is a crime. We could get caught. You need to be careful." Masha was not careful. She was spotted. Caught. I could have run. I was standing a few meters away. They hadn't seen me yet. I could have turned and left. But Masha was standing there alone, and I couldn't abandon a friend. We were both taken to the police, put behind bars, real ones with iron rods, in a small room that smelled of dampness and cigarettes. We sat for several hours. Then we explained that we were calling our mothers, that it was International Women's Day, that we wouldn't do it again. They let us go. 6 years earlier, I stood on the trapa and sold cigarettes. 4 years earlier, I forged a school diary. 2 years earlier, I forged teacher signatures. Now I forged coins. The tools changed. The formula didn't. If the system doesn't give you what you need, bypass the system. Find a crack. Crawl through. Act like that's how it was supposed to be. I was always interested in prostitutes. I don't know why. Maybe because my mother was involved in prostitution while I was an infant, and the body recorded it long before the head could understand. Maybe because the subject of sex, body, and shame had been in my life from the very beginning. I watched every movie about it, read everything I could find. But I had never seen a real prostitute. In 11th grade, I decided to fix that. The problem was that the boarding school doors locked at 10 p.m., and prostitutes, I assumed, work at night. So I had to get out after lights out. So I needed a key to the back exit. I came up with a plan. Said the hallway needed repair. Wallpaper was peeling. Had to take the trash out through the back door. They gave me the key for half an hour. I flew 3 bus stops to the market, found a locksmith, got a duplicate made, and came back. Made it in time. That night we went out with Svetka. She smoked, I didn't. We walked along a dark street toward the next block. Going far was scary, and nearby, according to rumors, they stood. We walked in silence, tense, as if on a reconnaissance mission. I was 15, and I felt like a spy from a movie. Behind us came footsteps, fast, male, catching up. The man approached and said, "Girls, gotta smoke." How I bolted from there, like a bullet, like a mouse from Tom and Jerry, legs flashing faster than you know where you're running, and yelling as I run, "No, don't have any." Svetka, right behind me. We ran all the way back to the boarding school without looking back. After that, I didn't look for prostitutes, but I kept the key. It came in handy again later, for other nighttime escapes, less ambitious ones. Forge a diary, forge signatures, forge coins, forge keys. By 11th grade, I had such a track record of bypassing systems that it would have been enough for a small criminal startup. But every time it wasn't about the crime. It was about the fact that the system didn't give me what I needed. Connection with my grandmother, a friend for a performance, freedom in the evening, a chance to see the world. And every time I found a crack and crawled through. Not because I was bad, because no direct path existed.